color and actions.
Alrighty. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's event. My name's Heather. I use they, she pronouns, and I'm a bookseller and gift seller here at the Booksmith. If you're familiar with our store, welcome back. And if it's your first time, welcome in. Some housekeeping before we begin. Please take this time to silence your cell phones. There will be Q&A at the end of the conversation, so get your questions ready. And if you pre-ordered a book, it will be available for pickup at the back counter at the end of the event. And if you'd like to purchase one or many books, you can do that then there as well. Every purchase supports your local independent bookstore and allows us to keep hosting wonderful events like these, so thank you. Just so you know, tonight's event is being live streamed on YouTube. Hello, YouTube friends, from our iPad over here. We try to keep audience members out of frame as a rule, but if you don't want to be in the live stream, just don't walk in front of the live iPad during the event. You'll be fine. Tonight we are here to celebrate the release of I Was a Teenage Death God with author MJ Beasi in conversation with Kayla Cottingham. Kayla Cottingham is a New York Times bestselling YA author of sapphic horror and fantasy novels, including My Dearest Darkest and Practical Rules for Cursed Witches, as well as one of her more recent novels, Extraordinary Quest for Amateur Witches, which we do have for sale in the back. Born and raised in Salt Lake City, Utah, Kayla now lives in Boston, where they love to go hiking in the woods, play RPGs, and snuggle on the couch with a ridiculously large black cat squid. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Of course, our author this evening is MJ Beasi. Like the cat they play on their near daily live streams, MJ Beasi has lived multiple lives as a singer, actor, songwriter, journalist, arts educator, and founder of a teen opera workshop in Western Massachusetts, determined to tell stories across as many mediums as possible. As an educator, MJ's job is to help teens discover and celebrate their true voices. As an author, they hope to continue that tradition. In the off hours, MJ can be found reading, gaming, binging cartoons with their spouse, and wishing they knew how to draw. Same here. Tonight we are here to celebrate the release of their debut novel, I Was a Teenage Death God. Every time 17-year-old Charlie Ford touches someone, they absorb seconds of their life, which adds up when Charlie has no way of giving that time back. It feels like enough of a curse without Lou, the bratty bully of a ghost who's hung around Charlie since childhood, forcing him to hand over that stolen life for her to use. Charlie will steal life from whomever Lou tells them to, as long as she doesn't hurt Charlie's twin Sam or their best friend and secret crush Robbie. So when Lou tries to force Charlie to take life from Robbie, Charlie refuses, and Lou retaliates. When Lou goes after Sam, Charlie breaks down and finally tells Robbie about their life-stealing abilities. And after some internet sleuthing, Robbie finds out that Charlie might not be the only person born with that power. Along with Sam, they embark on a weekend road trip to meet a pair of self-proclaimed death gods, hoping for answers, and if they're lucky, a solution to the whole Lou problem. But the answers about their powers only bring up more questions. With dark discoveries at every turn, Charlie must wrestle with a supernatural legacy that redefines their relationships to Sam and Robbie and calls their very humanity into question. Please join me in welcoming Kayla Cottingham and MJ Beasi.
Test. All right, there we go. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to talk about this book because it is genuinely so much fun. Originally, I was going to have you start by pitching the book, but that pretty much covered a good chunk of it. So instead, I think we should, yeah. So I'll give you a slightly different softball, which is, was I Was a Teenage Death God always the title? Because it is an absolute banger, and I want to know how you came up with it.
It is an absolute banger, and I cannot even take the slightest amount of credit for it. That was not the original title of the book.
Did you have like a working title that was
I did. It was originally called Impossible Gods. It was called Impossible Gods while my agent was sending it out. But then on my very first call with Tamara, the amazing Tamara Grassi at Page Street, YA.
Shout out.
They said that they were concerned that that Impossible Gods made it sound like it should be high fantasy, and that people would be expecting that coming in, and they were like, "Oh, do you have any ideas?" And I'm like, I didn't even come up with the name Impossible Gods. Like H.E. Edgman came up with that title. I did nothing.
Well, don't they also have like a god
They
related?
do.
Yeah. I say don't they? I blurbed it. I know
They do. I can't name things. I can't come up with names.
That's not our job.
So I think I might have said it a little less dramatically than that, but like I might have said like, oh, no, not really. And then Tamara was like, well, there's this one phrase I've been like throwing around. Like I came up with it when I, like jotted it down in the manuscript when I was reading it. And I've been using it. I've been saying this, I guess around the office and stuff or something. And it was, I was a teenage death god, and my agent and I both just went, oh, well, that's perfect. And all of a sudden, really makes the book make sense. Like it captures the vibe of the book in a way that Impossible Gods just absolutely did not. And I think it's the perfect title. I agree. It's a banger.
So credit where credit is due.
Yeah.
Going off of that, I also think that this book has a super unique premise with the main character who is in, I would say, a relatively unique situation of sort of stealing life from other people. What sort of inspired you to have that as your concept, and also was there other media, or did you just sort of pull it from life experience? Where did you get the inspiration for this book?
It was, I'm not even sure what led me to the life stealing thing exactly, because there wasn't one specific thing. Certainly I've seen other stories with that type of a thing in it, or the X-Men or whatever. There's superpowers that are life stealing power type things. What I was really looking for was something that set my main character on the outside in a way where they would feel like they could never fully participate in society. Like they were always on the outside, because that's what the book is really about. It's about feeling like you might not be a real person, or you shouldn't be a real person, you don't really exist. And so having them not be able to touch anybody without hurting them just seemed like a way, and not be able to tell anybody about it either. So they're on the outside, they are not interacting with people in a way that people find difficult. And that was basically the reason why I ended up with that. The real inspiration for the book, the thing that started the book, was Lou, actually.
Oh,
Lou,
my favorite character.
So Lou is the ghost. Lou is the ghost that makes Charlie take all the life from everybody and give it to her. And the book started with Lou. That was the original concept. Was I had this imaginary frenemy that would when I was little, that I would hear these footsteps in the night, or what I thought were footsteps, coming into my room at night, and they sounded like somebody walking on dry leaves. I describe this in the book, actually. It's that kind of shh, shh, shh. Now, in retrospect, as an adult, I'm fairly certain that what I was hearing was the rush of my own pulse in my ear. The way that your blood vessels will just
Are you sure your house wasn't just pumping with apparitions?
I think not. But in my head, in my little child head, I made up that there was this person coming into the room, and for no reason whatsoever, I knew that it was a girl and that her name was Lou, and that she was sinister in some way. She never did anything to me, nothing bad ever happened to me. Except for that kind of sense of foreboding, that there was something sinister and bad around. But that always stuck with me, this idea of Lou, and that's where the book really started.
So you made her Charlie's problem.
Right, exactly. I gave her problem to, let's be real, myself, because there's no protagonist that I have ever written that was as me as Charlie Ford. So yeah.
That's awesome. I guess sort of going back to how this book came to be, what did your road to publication look like for this book?
My road to publication was paved with failure. It was really, I'm not supposed to really admit these things, I don't think. It took us a really long time to sell this book. And in fact, if I'm being completely honest, we were probably weeks away from pulling it off sub and going with a different book that I had written during the time. And when we got the offer from Pastry, and then when I talked to Tamara, like they were the most perfect editor that ever could have come like out of the woodwork for this book. So I think that really was just waiting for the right editor, like someone who would really understand it and love it for a lot of the same reasons that I think it was a hard sell to begin with. That it was kind of hard to pin down the genre. The T for T romance might have pushed some folks away. Hard to say. But yeah, it was kind of a long road getting this to publication. Like I got an agent with it very, very fast after failing to get one on my previous book that I queried for a long and horrifying year. And I thought when I signed with an agent, I was like, oh yeah, this is it now. Like we're cooking. Like this is gonna be it. And then
Easy peasy.
Yeah, it was not easy peasy, but it was worth the wait.
That's good. I feel like that's really all that matters.
Yeah.
Is that it lands in the right space. So you mentioned a little bit about the relationships just now. One of my favorite relationships in the book is the one between Charlie and their sister, Sam. How did you sort of go, or the twin sister, we should clarify, that's an important
Twin
plot
sister
point.
is an important plot point.
How did you sort of go about crafting that relationship? Because it's something that's really unique in that Charlie steals life,
Right.
and Sam sort of maybe has something going on there, but we don't learn that until later.
I feel like I'm always like.
We can also
Too
just
loud.
project.
Yeah. How did I go about crafting that relationship, you ask? I knew a lot of twins. There was a weird period of time so I was, at the time when I was writing this book, I was teaching at my family's performing arts studio, and I don't know exactly what it was, like the water or something, but we had so many twins in the studio. There was a time, we counted them all up once, and I can't remember what enormous number it was, but we had not only like a bunch of like full sets of twins at the studio, but we had a lot of like half the set in our studio, like people who had twins. We had at least one student or maybe two who weren't twins but had siblings who were twins. There were just so many twins at this time. It was like a twin-orama. And my mother is also a twin. And I guess through working with all those twins and knowing so many twins, there's a very unique dynamic. Like I have a sister, we're very close. We're very close when we were children, we were 2 years apart. Very close, and certainly there's a lot of her in Sam. But observing a lot of twins and seeing where it's like this incredibly close relationship that is also so difficult in unique ways, like where you're reaching all these milestones at the exact same time, and it's so easy to feel like you are only half a thing, like if you're not like, and yeah, so that seemed to that fit in well with what I wanted to do with Charlie too. So without any spoilers, but
Yeah, we get into some twin shenanigans in terms of
there are
a
twin
little
shenanigans.
a little bit of life sucking here and there.
The life sucking.
It's great theme, I do say.
Great. I was gonna say. I was
In my
gonna
books,
tell us.
I don't have a twin. to
Tell
steal
us
from.
about the life sucking twins.
Yeah,
Kayla.
highly recommend it. Check out my book.
Yeah, highly recommend.
Extraordinary Quest for Amateur Witches. They're mostly better at that point. Read the first one. The trauma's still there. So again, speaking a little bit about the characters in the book. So Charlie has something of a will they, won't they romance with their friend Robbie, who is a true delight to read about. I think, you know, in every book you can kind of tell when the author has like someone they really like to write about. And I was kind of getting that sense with Robbie. So it's like, it's such a cool romance because it's T for T. They really understand each other on a level that I think you don't even necessarily get with a lot of YA romances, because they've known each other for so long.
But they're best friends.
And they're best friends.
Yeah.
So what was your sort of like inspiration when you were putting together their sort of like certainly challenging relationship in certain points?
Well, I mean, first of all, I felt like there needed to be somebody worthy of this deal that Charlie has with Lou, where Charlie is not allowed to take, like, Charlie absolutely refuses to take any life from Robbie, and that's like basically the thing that's a deal breaker for Charlie. So there needed to be somebody really, really special for that. I just really wanted I really wanted a trans boy to get to be the prince of the school, the boy that everybody wants to be with, like just the dreamboat, the absolute star of the show. I just wanted that to be a trans boy, and that's partly how the relationship ended up being what it was. But I say that Charlie is the character who's the most mean I've ever written, but I poured all my youthful musical theater dreams into Robbie, and all of that into Robbie, and then just made him so much better than I ever would be.
That's the great thing about fiction.
I just made him like the best one. It was important to me that they be best friends, and be able to understand each other. The other reason for the T for T romance, which for people who might not know, that's trans for trans. Like, so that's two trans characters. So there's a non-binary character and a trans boy, who are the romantic couple in this story, or the will they or won't they romantic couple. And I wanted them to be able to connect on a level that was different than the way that they connect with other people. And so that was the thing that they recognized each other when they were really young, and even as they have gotten older and they have led very different lives, especially after middle school, when Robbie's starting to be kind of a star at school, is dating everybody one at a time because that's his way.
Monogamous.
Yeah, the serial monogamist. And Charlie is more and more of a recluse, more and more retreating into himself. And even through all that, their friendship never wavers. It doesn't matter that they have different friends at school. It doesn't matter that they are such different people. They still have this bond from kindergarten that carries them through. It's funny, I used to love enemies to lovers. I always thought that's what I would write. I have not written that a single time.
Yet. There's still time. I'm biased, I also love enemies to
Yeah, well,
lovers.
I always thought that's what I would like. I mean, that's what I, when I was back in my fanfic days, that's what I wrote, enemies to lovers, that was it. But then when I started writing my own stories, I realized that's not what I was gonna write at all. Friends, having that long time bond to me meant more.
I was, and this might be me projecting a little bit, but the scene with Robbie and Charlie with the sheet.
Yeah.
But it's romantic and charming. It did remind me a little bit of Fruits Basket, and I was really delighted by that.
Oh, I never even thought of that. I love Fruits Basket. I say that there was no particular inspiration for it of other media, but I've consumed so much media, who knows what influenced me. I had somebody bring up somebody asked me about the TV show with the pies and e-paste.
Pushing Daisies.
Pushing Daisies, and I was I never even thought about that, but I love Pushing Daisies, so maybe.
Real sort of, we can't touch each other, but we'll find a way.
Yeah.
I guess speaking about their relationship a little bit as well, one of the things I really enjoyed about this book is the way that sort of their transness is so baked into the story in ways that it feels like the two of them can really relate to each other in ways that sometimes you don't necessarily get that level of intimacy unless you have a shared experience like that. So how did you go about including the elements of their identity into the book? Was it something that came very naturally to you, or was it something more where you're like, I really need to measure how I incorporate this into the book?
It really just came really naturally. Like I never wanted to write like, I didn't want it to be like a coming out story. I didn't want it to be something where their transness was like the obstacle in the story for either of them. So it was important to me to write just a book where the queer characters are just doing the things that characters would do in a book. Like they're the ones, they get to save the world or be the heroes or like do whatever. Like they're just having the adventures. So I never wanted to make it a part of the plot. I would say the transness is baked in deeply enough so that somebody who needs to think about it, like a kid who wants to think about it on a deeper level, that doesn't just want a fun adventure, can sit there and find this story about proving to yourself that you are a real person and you deserve to exist in a world that's like more than I anticipated when I was writing the book, telling them that they shouldn't exist. So even though like to me that's what the book is about, I didn't want that to be the story.
Yeah.
So I didn't really have, I just had them be. Like, I teach teenagers, or I don't teach very many of them anymore, but I used to teach a lot of them. And so I had all these examples, like all these Charlies and Robbies and all these like kids just like living authentically as themselves all the time, right in front of me, and I could just take inspiration from that, and they just had the adventure. It was all.
It's like, it's just so sweet to watch them interact in the book, where there's like the one scene where Charlie has to like change in a car.
Oh yeah.
And like, even just like the way that Robbie handles that is so like, I don't know, it was like so heartfelt. I really appreciated that. I guess sort of on that note, when you were writing the book, there's so many fantastic scenes in this book that stick out to me. Like that one that I just mentioned, the sheet, the scene of Sam and Charlie going across the river in New York was awesome. Did you have a favorite scene to write without too many spoilers, of course?
You're not the first person to ask me this, and you're not the first person that I'm gonna like flail in front of trying to like really choose. But now, because you brought up that scene with the car, that might be it. Because
there was those who maybe haven't read the book. Can you sort of give a quick summary of that?
So there's a bunch of wackiness ensues, and they end up on a road trip, and you know this and that happens, and they're going. Charlie has fallen in the river. It's just the kind of thing that they would do, and they need to change clothes. It's dry clothes, so they go and find a car where there's like a suitcase full of clothes, and Charlie goes to change in the back seat, and then Robbie comes back into the seat when they're done, and they talk. I would say they talk, and they have a conversation, and I loved that scene because it was the most honest scene between them that had happened so far in the book. Like there was a scene earlier where Charlie confessed all this stuff about their weird power that they had never told Robbie about all these years. And you could say that was like a huge piece of honesty, but that was just Charlie.
Right.
I feel like the scene in the car is both of them being really honest about the things that they're scared of, about the ways that they feel like maybe they've screwed things up. And then I think my favorite line is in that scene, which is, and I'm probably not gonna remember it exactly right, but Ravi basically, like, you know, has figured out that Charlie was lying about a bunch of stuff, and
As one must when
as
they're
one
God.
as one must, and is saying, like, people lie for reasons. Like, there's plenty of reasons, good reasons why people lie, and this is the part that I like. This is the part that's my favorite part was, and that's something that queer kids get that not everybody does, is that sometimes you have to lie. Like, sometimes that is the only way, is you have to lie. And, but lies between us is no good. Like, it isn't helping anything. And for me, it was that, this is gonna sound like a tangent,
That's a lot.
but, all right, I taught teenagers, right? They lie so much. And I felt like my job as a teacher was to, in the situation, in the circumstances in which I was teaching, was to not always lies. Because if they were lying to me, it was because they didn't know if they could be safe not lying to me. Like, whatever the thing was, whether it was as simple as me asking them if they practiced, and they might lie, they did not. But I didn't call them out on it because I thought they think that I'm gonna react in a bad way if they tell me this. So it's up to me to prove that I'm not going to by not being that person, by not being the person who's like, I don't believe you. Sometimes it's as simple as that, sometimes it was as you know, like, big for them as something about their identity or something that they weren't sure who they could disclose things to. Because I taught voice lessons, like private voice lessons, it was a lot of one-on-one, so oftentimes they would tell me things that they are not gonna tell, like, to their classroom teacher somewhere, and definitely there were times when I could tell that I was the tryout for the thing before they got brave enough to, like, say something to, like, a parent. Like, somebody where the stakes were a lot higher if it didn't go well. Then a lot of times I was the test.
The trusted adult.
The trusted adult for them to test out whatever they wanted to say before they told it to somebody whose reaction could, like, make or break them, you know. So I took that role seriously, and that meant I wait for people to tell me the truth when they want to. And I don't know, somehow that was the place to say it. But, like, you guys, some people are gonna lie to you sometimes, and it's okay. I feel like there's
a real moral black and white.
yeah, there's a real moral thing where it's like, well, lies are the unforgivable thing. That's the one thing. If you lie to me, you can never, whatever the next thing is. But, like,
there's a lot of nuance.
there's
to
a lot
it
of
with
nuance.
queerness.
Right, some people lie. Sometimes people are lying because they don't want to say something. They've done something hurtful and they don't want you to know. Something hurtful to you. But in a lot of other cases, they're just lying because they don't know. They don't know if they can tell the truth right then. Or they have reasons. I don't even know what they are.
That was like that was a really good line. I know exactly what you're talking
So
about.
that might have
did strike me. I guess moving a little bit to the road trip that you mentioned, that was one of my favorite elements of the book. If y'all have been sort of around New England and then sort of down into New York and New Jersey, you'll really enjoy that part of the book. I always love to ask authors what sort of research they did when it comes to their books, and I have a feeling you probably had to do some for the road trip, but with that and also any other research you did, was there anything that you learned that you found particularly interesting during that?
I found out about training people on YouTube. And let me
Is that
tell
like train
you,
enthusiasts?
yes.
Or, okay, yeah.
So
I know some of those.
So there's a lot, I did have to do some research for the road trip. A lot of it is based, I tend to write the best from real locations, like real places I've been. So a lot of the places in the road trip are real places I've been. But I didn't, sometimes I was going from like A to B. Yeah, I have not been to the Scorpion House, that I made up. But some of them are like are like places I've been, but I've never been like from here to here, or I certainly never like walked from here to here, or I took the shoreline out to the Jersey Shore on New Jersey Transit a zillion times, but I never took it past where the stop for my parents' house was when they lived there, because they lived in Manasquan, New Jersey for a while, and in fact, one of the locations there's a location that is the train station that was literally outside their house. And I mean like really outside their house. Like you walked out the door of their house and the parking lot was there and the train station was there. And that location is in the book, but I hadn't taken the train further than that. So I was like, I wonder if there's people who describe this journey. And I ended up on YouTube. There literally are people who take their like camera or whatever and they video the whole ride. Like the whole ride on the shoreline, or I'm gonna guess any train you want. It is all there and it is very serious. And I have so much respect for these people. And train people, thank you. Like YouTube train people, thank you
You're
so
the glue
much.
that holds
Like,
this
right, you
together.
are. If not for you, like who knows what kind of weird mistakes I would have made, like during the like rather lengthy train sequence and
y'all
and the
ready for
walk
some
from
snakes
the
on the train?
There are snakes on the train, by the way. Yes, there are snakes on the train, and there's stuff happens to the train and they have to get off. Well, I'll just say that. And they have to walk. And I know the route, and it's because of the train people. I know where the woods are. I know where everything is.
You didn't need me ghosts to show you.
I
that.
did not need ghosts to show me because I had YouTube. I had the train people on YouTube, and will be grateful to them to my dying day.
Yeah. Shout out to the train people.
Yeah, thanks, train people.
Yeah. So this is not a question I pre-wrote, this is more just me wondering. So each of the we learn over the course of the book that there are sort of multiple death god families. And they are represented by different animals, including snakes and scorpions. Was there a specific reason you chose those animals? Is there like also an opossum death god family? Like, how did we land on snakes and scorpions?
I like snakes, so that's where we started with snakes. And scorpions scare the absolute crap out of me, and so that's how we got scorpions. I don't know why scorpions are so bad. Like, I made peace with spiders. In fact, I used to be very, very scared of spiders, and then I had a window spider at my apartment, like right outside the window, a grass spider built their like beautiful funnel web right there. And at first I was really creeped out. It was right by my desk, like where I write and do everything all day. But then after a while, I got really fond of the spider, and I called her window friend, and I was absolutely devastated the day that window friend was no more. Like the day it became clear that window friend, that like the late in the fall and the web was tattered and no longer, there was no sign of window friend. I made peace with spiders. I've liked spiders ever since. Like, they terrified me until then, and now, ever since Winter Friend, I really like them. Scorpions, though, they can all fall into a pit of lava. That would be fine. Like, they can just, I don't know.
Are you okay with Scorpios?
Yes.
Astrologically speaking.
I am married to one, in fact.
Great, because I think we're cool. Anyway, one of the other things I love about this book, obviously there's quite a few, there's quite a few twists and turns over the course of the book in terms of, because so much of it has to do with learning how this sort of death god powers and pairing really works. Did you go into writing the book already knowing all the twists and turns that you were going to include, or just kind of flashlight method winging it a little bit?
Absolutely, always, but always when it's up to me anyway. Flashlight method. I didn't know. I didn't know at all with this book. Like, sometimes I've had it sort of an idea. I usually do like pants my way through a book, like basically. But sometimes I have like kind of an idea of where I wanted to end up. This one, no, I made up the whole thing as I went, and the only thing that was important to me was that there wouldn't be some easy fix for Charlie's predicament.
Right.
Like it wouldn't be just like, oh, you can do this magic spell and then you can touch anyone you want or something, or they could like concentrate or meditate or something and get whatever. Like I didn't want it to
expand your aura.
Yeah. because for me that thing that separated them from everything was being non-binary, was their transness. Like it's just that I just put it into the supernatural elements instead of into the story. So like I didn't want that to be something that you get rid of. I wanted it to be something that you learn to accept about yourself and
Was it sort of the same with the world building in terms of like how, like the inspiration for the twin dynamic, and you had, I think, maybe a reference or two to Greek mythology that I thought was really interesting. Also, shout out to the Percy Jackson series, which I also appreciated.
Always a shout out to the Percy Jackson series. That kind of just grew as I went too. Like, and I would get myself in a little predicament. Like here, I'd like write myself into a little corner, and then I'd be like, well, let me look up things and like see if anything strikes me. Or my favorite version of writing myself in a corner is when I've written myself into a corner, and I'm like, oh, man, I'm gonna need some new magic or something here, like something, and then I realize, wait a minute, I put this in the beginning. That's been here all along. The solution's been there, staring me in the face. It's always been there.
So
I'm
rare.
so brilliant. I had this. This has been just making this whole time. I didn't just think of it now. No, I thought of it way back then in my secret brain that I keep locked in a box and don't show anybody, including myself.
Sometimes we like to sort of leave ourselves mysteries to someone.
Sometimes we do. Yeah, no, I do it all the time. I feel like there's this whole thing in writing, like, are you a planner, are you a pantster, or whatever. I'm a pantster. I'm a full-on pantster, which is just like flying by the seat of your pants, basically. So like, I just make it up as I go, and then you have to go back and you have to like reckon with what you've done. Like, when you get to the end, you're like, what have I created? And you have to go back and you have to fix everything so that it looks like you did, in fact, plan it very carefully from the beginning, like a brilliant planner would do, like a very organized person would do. Because I am a very, very organized person who has it all together at all times.
Like all authors. It felt very like you knew exactly what it was going to be from the beginning. So
Thank you.
excellent work.
Thank you.
I think in terms of like the world building and the death god elements, another thing that I really liked about it was how you incorporate ghosts into the book. Specifically, the sort of death god characters have these flocks of ghosts that they are able to control to a certain degree. So my question is, if you were a death god and you had a flock of ghosts to sort of carry out your requests, what would you have them do? Because I'd be walking across rivers all day, every day. You'd see me on the Charles doing laps.
No, I probably would too. Do you guys play Minecraft? I use Frostwalker boots like they were going out of style. Like as soon as I realized I could get Frostwalker boots and just walk everywhere, like across the river, like across the oceans, and I didn't have to worry about like navigating like all the like cliffs and things like that. No, I might do that. Though also I always wanted to fly. I've always been able to fly in my dreams. When I was a little kid, I was pretty sure I probably could if I just figured it out. If I just figured out what I
find the right roof to.
If I could just figure out like what it was that I harnessed in the dream to fly, because it felt so real and like it felt so organic, like how it worked. So I would like kind of try to like doggy paddle my way up, and it didn't work.
There's
But-
a decent amount of defenestration in this book. People falling out of windows, relatively.
There
left
is a
and
lot
right.
of falling out of it, and now that I think about it, when I think
I'm like,
over
no window is
yet to
safe
be
in this
seen
book.
works, there are more falling out of windows. There are a lot of.
Sorry, didn't mean to throw you for a
No,
loop.
I really do want to I want to jump out a window and survive, so that the ghosts could help me with that.
Yeah. No, I think that's good.
I think
news.
I would have the ghost. I could just jump out of windows wherever and
Just glide.
yeah, and just glide and get out of the house faster. I live on the 4th floor. I live on the top floor of my
is it a
building,
walkout?
and it is not a walk. We do have an elevator.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say that's another thing for the ghosts to do.
I have lived another tangent when my sister and I were both living in New York. We lived across the street from each other at one point, and we wanted to get like paper cup phones to like go across. We couldn't figure out how to get. It was like across 9th Avenue, and in the 40s, it was like kind of a busy area. We couldn't figure out a time of day where you'd be able to like get the string across and like up without like traffic being a problem. But
these days you just have to get like a drone or something to fly over
Yeah.
the house.
I lived in my building. I lived on the 3rd floor, a reasonable floor to live on. She lived in a 5th floor walk up. And when I tell you that every single time I went to visit her, I thought about just visiting the people on the 3rd floor instead, because like that's like the good amount. Like three, that's the right amount to climb. After that, it's awful. It's bad. That was completely tangent. That wasn't going anywhere. I just wanted to talk about the paper cup phones. To be
In the
honest.
second book. Charlie.
Oh, there's still time to add that.
I guess moving away from plot and pantsing and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
I did want to also ask you a little bit, because debuting is such a unique experience.
Boy, it's
Yeah, and unique, there's a lot of peaks and valleys on that one. If you were to give your younger writerly self advice based on what you have learned during your debut period, what would it be?
I probably would say try this sooner. Even though, as I say that, because I had a lot of careers before this. Like I've done the ADHD career switch a bunch of times. I like to think I've landed at the last one, but I kind of, even though I don't think that I would be the writer that I am without all that stuff that I did, I kind of wish that I did it sooner, because younger me was way more reckless and way less, I mean, I'm still relatively fearless, but I feel like if I was younger me and like really fearless, that a lot of the parts about being a debut author that feel very, very scary would just feel like an adventure. Right now, they just feel scary. They just feel scary and weird, and I'm, because I'm like a way too grown adult with way too many bills and things like that, but like, and it's like such a strange and surreal thing.
Do you have any sort of like unexpected positive experiences that have come out of it?
Yeah. I had an event in New York last weekend, and I used to live there. I lived there a long time, in one of my other lives, and when I was doing musical theater professionally, and I was super ready to leave the city when I left. Like I was done, and for a bunch of different reasons, but I didn't want to be there anymore, and going back there, like I've been back there since. I've been back there and I've visited, and I've never really, this was the first time that I went back there and I thought, wow, I really like it here again. And I got to see some old friends who were out of town or like on tour or whatever when I originally left the city, and they were like back in the city, and it felt kind of, it just felt really good again. And that was great. And I don't think I would have done that without this debut thing. I don't think I never would have gone back. I never would have had a reason to like see all these people in one place. They wouldn't have had a reason to like all come see me. And so that was pretty great. And it did kind of make me feel like whatever happens, because you guys, you do this thing, this debut thing, and you just have no idea how it's going. Like, you have a book and you're really excited, and you don't know whether the world is going to be excited about it at all. You hope, but it was a little, like, being back there was kind of like almost maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe it doesn't matter.
I think the most important thing with debut is just getting to enjoy those kinds of moments.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Well, like, this is great. Like, talking to you, like, I got to meet you.
Thank you.
A brilliant author, Kayla Cottingham, whose books you should absolutely buy. And I heard that one of them is for sale right here in the store. Like, I got to meet you. That was amazing.
Yeah, I highly recommend meeting me and
Yeah.
also publishing books. But talking less about that, I did want to ask if people really enjoy reading I Was a Teenage Death God. Do you have any other books or authors that you think they would also enjoy in the same vein?
Besides the work of the amazing Kayla Cottingham, whose books you should buy right away, I think I'm gonna say A.G. Edmond, of course. Andrew Joseph White. I don't write.
Love AJ.
I cannot write, like, I don't write horror. Like, AJ writes horror, but I also feel like there is a little bit of there's a vibe. And also you should just read his books anyway, because they're so spectacular. Luigi Beaumontez, Till the Last Beat of My Heart. You should absolutely read. I didn't realize, I hadn't read it before I wrote my book, and like we were introduced through a friend, and I read her book and I was like, oh, we could have been like writing in sort of like almost the same universe, like slightly different, like AU versions, like of the same universe. So you should read that, and she's got another book coming out in June, I think. Take It to Your Grave. She likes dead things too.
Who doesn't?
Right?
But on that note, we're gonna move to audience questions after this one, so start letting those gears turn.
Pressure's on
To
you.
go ahead and wrap us up, what can we expect next from you in the book world?
Well, as you may or may not know, I Was a Teenage Death God is the first in a duology, so the next thing you can expect is book 2.
I expect an arc on my doorstep.
I shall make sure you get one.
Can you give us any sort of like teasers for what will happen in the second book, if you're allowed
Can
to?
I?
Is that kosher? Can we do like any little?
Yeah,
bits?
yeah, I
Okay,
am. Okay. We're gonna go back to New York. So there'll be more New York. We're actually gonna get to see Ravi do some performance. So that'll be an exciting time. We're gonna meet more death gods. And we're gonna learn some more stuff about Charlie and Sam, Charlie's abilities. New things, new information, new ideas, new thoughts. And we're gonna go to a whole bunch of new locations in New York, including literally my first apartment in New York is a location in the next book.
As someone who also put like one of my bad apartments into my books, I am
This is a
very
great
excited.
apartment.
Yeah.
This was a great apartment.
Oh, well then that's even better. Mine, I'm like, there was frost inside the window. Thank you, Boston. That's awesome. I'm really looking forward to that. And with that said, I'd love to turn it over for audience questions. I do have some backups if y'all are too stunned by our brilliance, but wanted to open it up to
She
y'all.
might be, let's be real. Oh, no. You're in the hot seat now, audience.
It's okay if you don't. Like I said, I have backups.
Anything?
Okay, well then I'll ask a question. Oh, okay, there we go.
I always want to know how you choose the names for your characters.
Ooh, that's a good one.
How I choose the names for my characters.
I think that my targeted ads have thought that I'm having a baby for about 10 years now.
Yeah, no, I do look up baby names all the time.
All the time.
It's a painful process, honestly, like, cause I'm not good at naming things. I don't like naming things, though. Oh, here's something I can say about the second book. If it comes out with the same name as Got Now, I did that one. I actually came up with a book name, and people liked it. And so, like,
That's
remember how great a job I did, unless it gets renamed before publication. But assuming it ends up with that name, that great name, that's not me. No, I'm bad at naming things. When it comes to naming people, like with the main character, I'm looking for something that I like saying out loud many times. For other characters, I'm like, a lot of times I'll look up like what's the vibe of this character, and I will look up names that have like specific meanings or something, and usually then end up not choosing those at all, but I come across some other name while I'm looking for that I'm like, oh wait, I like this one. And before I absolutely decide on a name, after I've looked through all the baby naming websites and allowed myself to fall down a few Wikipedia rabbit holes, because those are the most fun thing. That's actually the best thing. Tangent. You might think that writing books, whole big long books that takes forever, and then going into an industry where everything literally takes forever. It's like the slowest thing in the world. Publishing would be the worst job with ADHD. However, it gives you an excuse all those times where you find yourself in some sort of weird research thing in that moment, and you lose yourself for 6 hours, with the trains, or my understanding is octopus skin.
Octopus owner Reddit, which no longer exists.
But
it did when I was book
it no
researching.
longer exists?
Yeah,
Where did all the octopus owners go?
Turns out octopi are really hard to keep because they're too smart and they climb out of their cages, and it just turned into a lot of, I can't find my octopus.
Okay, that's kind of amazing.
How do I find my octopus? And I was like, I just need to know the texture of the octopus for a monster I'm writing. Long story.
I can't believe that. Oh, okay. I kind of love that ending that I just discovered to the octopus story. But yeah, you have an excuse. It's totally cool to spend 6 hours or 12 or 4 days.
Today I googled fastest way to kill someone by stabbing, parentheses, this is for book research.
Right,
Close
this is
parentheses.
FBI, this is for book research. No,
I
do that all the
I don't
time,
need the
too.
NSA showing up at my house.
So then anytime before I finalize the name, I have to Google the name to make sure it's not already the name of a famous person.
In there.
But yeah, it's nothing really deep. Usually I'm terrible at naming things. The very first book that I ever wrote that I hope you guys will see someday, I still have dreams for it. But I gave, there were multiple universes in it, and I gave the enemies and some things, I gave them these very utilitarian names, and because I just hate naming things, so I just named them the invaders, and the thing, those were the what people called them. They didn't know their real names, so they just called them this, and so I gave them these super utilitarian names, and when I my agent read that book at one point, because I was like, can I do this sometime? What about this one? This one I really love, and he was like, you're gonna need some better names. You're gonna need some names that actually sound like something.
Just start mashing syllables together on fantasynamegenerator.com.
Yeah.
Do we have any other audience questions? Because I can keep going.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
What do you remember when you decided that you were writer versus one of your previous careers? Was there some things that happened that you suddenly shifted over? Like,
It was,
like,
yeah, it was both gradual and sudden. I mean, I'd always liked writing, and I'd written since I was a kid, but I grew up in a household of, like, classical musicians who did music for a living and teaching music for a living. And I was, like, in theater, and they did theater, and I was like, oh, well, this I know how to do. I loved music, and I loved books. I loved, like, stories. But I knew how to do the music part, and I knew how to go about that and how to, like, have a career in that, so I did that. But I always loved writing, and I was doing it all the time, like, over the years and, like, in various different ways. And then for a while, one of the things that I was doing was I was a blogger about manga and Japanese comics for anyone who doesn't know.
Did you contribute to No Flying, No Tights?
I did not, however, that is how I met Robin. It still exists. There's a website out there called Manga Bookshelf that I put together with a bunch of other bloggers, and I still run the website even though I rarely ever blog because, you know, ADHD just is interesting and I'm not doing that anymore. But while I was doing that, I got the idea, like, I had this story, like, in my head that, like, you know, another thing that came, like, from a seed from childhood, and I had a story in my head, and I had even, like, I'd written a performance piece about it in college, like, for a class, and, like, I'd always just had this story and this, like, thing that was from, like, a dream world that when I was a kid. And at that time, when I was, like, writing a lot about manga, I thought, like, oh, I really want this to be a comic, like, it should be a comic, and I tried to, like, find an artist to work with, and I had this idea about writing it, and it just never really went anywhere, like, and I was bad at writing it at that time. I was bad, maybe because I was trying to write it as a comic at the time, and I wasn't really ready to do that. And years passed, I'm unfulfilled in my work, in my job, and one day, like, so it had been this gradual thing, but one day I just sat down and said, I'm gonna try to write that one story as a novel. I'm just gonna do it, and I'm not gonna tell anybody, because I don't trust myself to finish it. I have absolutely no confidence whatsoever that I can write a book-length thing. I have never written a book-length thing. And so I started writing that same story, that one from the dream world, that one from the performance project, that one that, like, wanted to be a comic once. I started writing that, and I did write the whole thing. Like, I wrote the whole thing in, like, 3 months. And then I started telling people that I did it. And that was when I was like, I want to be a writer now. It was supposed to be my backup, like, later, like, slow burn job. And then the pandemic came along and ruined my other job, and ruined my livelihood entirely. And so then it was like, okay, you're up publishing, yay. Ha 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 ha, this is gonna go well. But yeah, that was like, it was like that. I can't even tell you exactly. It was just like one day. I do a lot of things exactly that way. Just one day I do the thing. I stream on Twitch, and the day I decided to do that, I just, like, did it out of the blue. I was telling these folks at dinner about how I'd been watching Twitch streamers and it looked like fun, and then so just one morning I got up and I, like, downloaded OBS, and I was like, I'm gonna, and, you know, my spouse was still in bed, and, like, I'm gonna do this. And, like, somebody asked him once, like, how I got started streaming, and he said, I don't know, I just got up one morning. And it was like, I streamed. And then, so I do a lot of things exactly that way. I just start doing it. And then I decide to make it into a job. I start doing a hobby, and then I make it into a job.
We
That
love
is what
to
I do.
monetize our hobbies.
That is what I do every single time. We don't have hobbies. We just have jobs waiting to be born.
All right, it is 8:01. I think we could, if anyone has any other questions, we could maybe fit one more in, but let's see. Do we have any other last minute cues? All right, in that case, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And thank you everybody for